It's What's Up Wednesday, guys, and it's October. Don't get scared now. Okay, guys, so it's October, and you might be thinking that the writing season is over. But if we all think sunny thoughts and warm weather, maybe we can have some fun this month. So, are you with me? I've got some tips for you, but first, I gotta get to work. So, can you move? No? All right, fine. I'll move you. I'll meet you at work.
For those that don't know me, my name is Dawn and I work here at FX Caprera Harley-Davidson.
Do your magic.
I wonder if I should ask one of our mechanics to make it faster. Except it's not Harley, so I don't know if that would work. Thank you. So, small confession. It's actually Monday, not Wednesday. That's because it takes time to edit and post, but also because today's so far on the calendar, the only nice ride, obviously I need coffee. The only nice day to ride this week until we get to Saturday. So we gotta squeeze every last mile that we can out of the riding season. And I'm gonna ride every chance I get between now and then. But I wanted to give you some tips to get the, so you can get the most out of your riding season as well. And hopefully if we all think warm, sunny thoughts as well as be prepared, we will be able to get the weather to cooperate with us and we'll have an extended riding season. That would be absolutely lovely. So now that I've got my coffee, let me check my email real quick and then we'll go do some, I'll get you the tips. I gotta drink my coffee. So step number one is to check your tire pressure, because as the temperatures change, so can the air in your tires. So check that, make sure you're at the proper tire pressure for your ride. And the easiest way to find out what that should be is look on the down tube to your motorcycle. On the newer bikes, it is there. If you don't see it there, look it up in your owner's manual. It's there, trust me. I know. Come in and get this is a kit that you can get to attach it to your air hose, and it has the gauge on there, or come in and get the one that you just, the tire pressure as well as the tread depth. They're both here at FX Caprera Harley-Davidson. Next, for the rider from the ground up, we're going to talk about boots. You want a good over-the-ankle boot at the very least to help keep you warm as well as safe. Something that's waterproof or something with a gripper sole for when the pavement's wet and you got to put your feet down at a stop sign or a stoplight. Then we have the FXRG base layers. I'm wearing a set right now. I won't lie. That's because these are thick enough to keep me warm, but not so thick to where they feel like a thermal or I'm wearing long underwear or anything like that. It's also zoned to help you keep you cool in the right spots as well. So check these out. Link below, FXRG base layer. Then of course it's hoodie weather. Love the hoodies. Ladies, you might have seen this in a recent email that you got from Harley-Davidson. Guys, check this plaid out. Love it. Looks good. Check this photo out that you might have seen on Harley-Davidson's Instagram. And then wear it on its own, if you're like around in the city, or as you go up, you can throw this on underneath your jacket, your riding jacket, another layer to help keep you warm. It's all about the layers in October. Last but not least, your helmets. If you're wearing a half helmet, you might want something to help keep you warm. And we've got face masks, both with a logo and without, to help keep your face warm. We've got bandanas that are lined, very nice. And we've got neck gaiters. These are helpful no matter what you're wearing. If you're wearing a half helmet, 3/4 with a shield, or even a full face helmet, these will help keep your neck warm, especially if you have your hair tied back, like I do. Of course, a full face helmet is going to help keep you the warmest, but even if that doesn't do the trick for you, we have this balaclava. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that, but that's what we've got. That's what they call it. It's a full hood, neck, and face for you to help keep you warm. We also have heated gloves for the serious rider, or if you really want to get serious, you can get the heated grips for your bike. That with a heated seat really makes early spring and late fall riding enjoyable. So, of course, the obvious piece to all of this is that you must have a motorcycle in order to do some autumn riding. And if you need one, it just so happens we got some more coming in today. So, if you need a bike, come and see us. We're more than happy to help, whether it's a new or new to you motorcycle. We're going to get you riding. There's time to do it this riding season. So come on down. Speaking of which, if I can't sneak out of here and go do some riding. So as promised, here are the 7 tips to look out for those deers. I'm here at one of the state parks off of Route 177. I'll look up the name of it and put the link down below because they've got some good hiking trails here. And as you can hear, it's a pretty popular road. But it's also what I would consider a back road, and one that the deer populate a lot. So if you were riding anywhere in the mountains, this is on the western side of the Adirondacks, the Appalachians, the Cascades, the Rockies, the Sierra Nevadas, shout out to home. Definitely want to keep an eye out for those little 4-legged furry creatures. So obviously tip number 1 is that, yeah, the population in the springtime is a lot more, but now this time of year they're coming into their romance phase, going into the rut, and the adults are the heaviest that they will be during this time of year. So that can make situations a little bit more worse because they're bigger, they're heavier, they're a little bit more solid. And although you can encounter, tip number 2, although you can encounter a deer anytime during the day or night, trust me, I know, 10:30 on a Sunday morning, I had one hit me while I was on the interstate going to work. Fortunately, I did not go down, but I did use my rider skills to keep my bike up and going, and I did go to the ER and get checked out. But so they can be active anytime, but they are most active between dusk and midnight and in the early mornings. They typically spend the middle of the day in deep cover like this behind me, but they're not really forest dwellers either. So, you know, they can pop out and say, hey, how are you? So got to keep an eye out on that. If you're, especially if you're riding through prime habitat like this up here, you want to identify that habitat, prime food sources such as standing corn, mast crops like acorns, orchards, and travel corridors like tree lines, hedge roads, and gullies. If you're crossing a small gully, be sure to look out. Also, if you're passing between a food supply and their cover at dawn or dusk, slow down and pay extra attention. You don't want to override your headlights. If you do have to ride at dusk or at night, definitely keep in mind your speed. Don't override your headlights or your high beams. If you can, tuck in behind a car or a truck that you could use their headlights, and obviously keep enough space in between you and them, but then that way you can see through their headlights, get a preview of what's coming up ahead. Also, of course, pick a distance that if the car does or truck does scare a deer, that they're not going to bounce back and come right back into you either. So tip number 4, deer are obviously herd animals. If you see one crossing the road, then chances are there's probably at least 1 or 2 others that are following them. If you do see deer on both sides, keep in mind that they do like to group together because of the whole safety numbers thing. So you want to watch out for that as well. I've had success, sort of success coming up on them and honking my horn. Although I did just do that the other day. I was in my car and I came up on a back road over there by Sam's Club in Watertown, and there were deer crossing the road and like hanging out and going, "Hey, is it coffee yet?" And I'm like, no, honking my horn like, it was a stopped car or something, and they were just looking at me like, what is she doing? So keep in mind that some of them don't even know. That brings us to number 5. Deer are flight animals that most of the time, they're not going to stand and fight. It's a flight or fight response, and they're typically going to flight, but not always in a straight line, especially the youngsters. They tend to zigzag. The defense to get away from prey is to zigzag, and even though they don't necessarily see the motorcycle as prey, if you honk your horn or flash your lights or whatever you do as you're coming up on them, they might sometimes can even come right back at you in their confusion. Like I said, especially the youngsters tend to do that. So be aware of that if you encounter the deer. Number 6, don't ignore those deer crossing signs. Insert example here. There we go. So those signs are obviously there for a reason. Government doesn't like to spend their money willy-nilly. They actually do like to have a reason before they put up an expensive sign like that. And it's not that they're encouraging the deer to cross at that particular location. No, it's because deer are crossing at that location anyways. So keep that in mind. Also, if you are traveling a route, like if you ride back and forth to work like I do, keep an eye out for the roadkill, because that will give you an idea of where they are crossing. Even the skunks and the raccoons, the deer tend to follow the same path, so keep an eye out for those areas as well. And last but not least, play the what if constantly with yourself. Assess your riding skills, get out there and practice in your mind. Be mentally prepared to cover that front brake. That's what's going to save you, and take evasive maneuvers so that you can avoid hitting the deer altogether. Should the worst happen and there's no way you can avoid hitting the deer, some say speed up. When I had that deer jump out in front of me a couple years ago, I actually did speed up because I was on my old bike. I was on the interstate. I had just checked my speed. I was doing 70 miles an hour. And my old bike did not have ABS on there, so I knew hitting the brakes I was probably going to run into said deer versus having her run into me. She ran into my left knee, and like I said, I didn't go down, but it was still pretty scary. So assess the situation you're in. Nowadays with my new bike, if I had been in the same situation, I would probably say go ahead and shed as much speed as possible, and that way when you hit the deer, if you can not simply avoid it when you hit it, at least you're gonna hopefully do the least amount of damage. Of course, as with everything, this is no guarantee that you're never ever going to hit a deer. So definitely have the right riding gear. Be prepared should the worst happen and you do end up going down. The best bikers will always tell you it's not a matter of if, but a matter of when. So have the protective riding gear, have the full face helmet, be ready, be prepared for everything, and then that way you have a lot less to worry about and you can relax and enjoy the ride, which is exactly what you want to do this October. If you happen to be out in the area, come by and see us here at FX Caprera Harley-Davidson. If not, drop a link below. Let me know where you are riding. And everybody, ride safe and have fun. That's what it's all about. Till next time. One last thing I want to give you for a tip, and that is make sure any alcoholic consumption that you guys do while out and about, it shouldn't be out and about. It should be after you get back and the kickstands are down for good, or you have a way to get home, whether you're riding or driving, because ending it on a bad note like that is just not worth it and not any fun. So we want to continue the fun. We want to have a good time. And you know what? It's still light outside. So rather than do this, I think I'm going to go ride. And so remember to think good, sunny. I swear I haven't drunk yet. Think good, sunny thoughts, warm weather. We'll continue the riding season through October. Keep an eye out on our calendar, on our Facebook page, links to that below. And if you're not up here in northern New York, then let us know where you are riding this October. We want to hear from you. Hopefully you're going on, maybe on John Maxwell's ride out to Paris, Texas. Check that video out here, and also a really cool video that I found out from one of our hog members here. And I'll see you at the next What's Up Wednesday.
I'm all fogged up. I can't even see.